helping shed some light on this till we can, get some sort of effective investigation into Marla Greenstein. The Kenai grand jury investigated her. After they subpoenaed her, she lawyered up and refused to testify. And then when the grand jury wrote a report on what they found, the judges sealed it and refused to make it public. And the grand jury intended for the report to be public. So anyway, that's why we all join up on this Zoom meeting here and share our ideas and keep plugging forward. So I don't know. Anybody else want to add something? It seems like I've just kind of been.
You're doing good.
Yeah, you're doing great.
You're doing good.
So
I want to add something to that, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Regarding the grand jury report, it's being held currently by Judge Thomas Matthews, Superior Court Judge Matthews.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, and I have personally requested that to be released on 2 different occasions. It's been denied both times, and he has this report. Now, I contend that it is not his report. The grand jury is totally independent from the judicial system. They're independent. Therefore, their report is not the property of the judicial system, and the judge has a public document. This was issued for the benefit of the public. Judge Matthews has sealed that report. He will not release it, and therefore, I think he's committing some kind of a criminal act. And
I agree.
Cover that up. But
I agree.
Judge Matthews, along with other judges, are doing wrong here, and they need to be called out and hopefully held accountable one day.
So in Alaska, how many corrupt judges do we have?
David, I love that.
I have no idea, but it's possible there's a lot. If anybody who complains about a judge, it goes to the same person, and there's evidence that she's manipulating the investigations to let the judge off the hook. Say if it's only 1% of 8,000. What's 1% of 8,000? That's 80 judges. Say if it's 10%. I mean, you get the idea that this is a big problem.
It's a massive problem. Massive.
Yeah. And if you think most of these judges remain on the bench for their entire life, for their entire career, how many cases do they preside over?
Thousands. Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
And it's been going on, and this has been going on. You said this has been going on for roughly 35 years because Marla Greenstein she's the one that investigates all these complaints, right?
Correct. She's the only sole investigator.
And she's been doing it for 35, 36 years.
Since 1989.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's why our court system is the way it is. Our judicial system.
It absolutely is. Well, and it's also why our troopers are the way they are, and why the Department of Law is the way they are. Is any wrongdoing, say, do you know how many cases have come across my radar where people said there was a recording proving, that, the bruise on my kid was caused when they climbed up on a stool and the stool fell over, and there was whatever, a videotape proving it, and it disappeared, and OCS took my kid, or, tons of cases like that where when a complaint was filed, the evidence vanished, and when they filed a wanted to get some justice on what the judge had obviously done, or the OCS work or whatever, there never was allowed to be a grand jury investigation into it. It was always OCS investigating OCS. It was always the Department of Law investigating the Department of Law. It was always Marla Greenstein investigating judges. It never was normal people on a grand jury investigating. And I'll tell you that and now, with this new process that Attorney General Treg Taylor put out in conjunction with the Alaska Supreme Court, they said that no one has a right to appeal directly to the grand jury. So like any of these people that have the evidence in their hands, they are no longer allowed to go right before the grand jury or directly to the grand jury and hand them the evidence. They have to hand the evidence to the Department of Law and to the judges. And then the judges and the Department of Law decide whether that evidence is ever given to the grand jury. And the most obvious proof that that's wrong is the 55 delegates who wrote our Constitution said exactly this. Quote, the grand jury can be appealed to directly, which is an invaluable right to the citizen.
Yep.
Well, the judges said that we can't do that anymore. Department of Law said we can't do that anymore. But the 55 people who wrote our Constitution said that was an invaluable right to the citizen.
And they did that for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that when they frame somebody and take their kid, or frame somebody and throw them in jail, or beat the piss out of somebody unjustly, and there's video of it, and they get rid of the video, no one can ever get to the truth. We're basically living in a police state right now.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. But see, we have the tools with the grand jury backed up by what the delegates said. All we need to do is get enough people to band together, walk in and say, this is bullshit.
Exactly.
We're going to hand the grand jury directly our evidence. No one is going to filter it out. And there's nothing they can do to stop us because it's written in plain English by our delegates who wrote our Constitution. It's just by ourselves. I mean, we've tried to go, individually or in a couple people go into the grand jury. In Kenai, there was a big mob of troopers that showed up instantly, slapped their hands on their weapons and said, remove yourself or we're going to remove you. I mean, literally, that's how bad it is.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it is, they are eliminating grand jury rights and our right to get to the grand jury. And, and the most telling thing, at that town hall is the original grand jury handbook that was given to all the grand jurors when Alaska first became a state. It laid out that citizens were at liberty to apply directly to the grand jury for investigations. And it talked about how the grand jury was there to investigate public officials for wrongdoing. Now the grand jury handbook, all that's been removed, and it says any citizen who has a problem with government has to gather up all his evidence and give all of it to the government. And it'll be the government that decides if it's ever given to the grand jury. And it'll be the government that decides even if the grand jury is allowed to investigate.
And that's because Treg Taylor just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the authorization Treg Taylor is using was provided by Supreme Court Order 1993. So Treg Taylor couldn't do that on his own, but we have Thomas Garber, probably rings a bell with you, whatever. He's helped a great deal. He filed a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, and actually got documents proving between Treg Taylor and the Alaska Supreme Court where they were in essence conspiring to write this Supreme Court order to stop citizens and grand juries from investigating government officials.
Now, isn't that on your website?
It is, yeah.
Yes.
It's on the website, Alaska State of Corruption. And then we have another website for the Grand Jurors Association. And I think it's probably in there also. But the one website where it's just primarily just pure evidence is called alaskastateofcorruption.com.
Okay.
And then
I didn't know about
and then
that
the
one.
then the Grand Jurors Association is Alaska Grand Jurors Association.org. And so, yeah, it's been a long uphill battle, but like we witnessed at that town hall meeting, there are a lot of people that are aware now and pretty upset.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I think it's just a matter of time before the dam breaks.
And that's
So,
part of the reason why I'm doing this live right now, because, real quick, I want to say, welcome in everybody on YouTube. It was a little bit late, but thank you for joining us. That's the reason why I'm doing this live, is because I feel that I'm like you. I get a lot of emails and a lot of people reaching out to me all over Alaska. I get thousands of emails, people basically begging for help, and it all comes down to the courts. The courts, the DAs, even the public defenders. So this is a huge problem. It's with my arrest at the courthouse for filming in a publicly accessible area of the courthouse for OCS, all of it. It all comes down to the courts. The courts are allowing all of it, and it's getting worse and worse. And what Treg Taylor is doing is he's trying to make it easier for them to strip us of our rights. And that's where I stand. This has got to stop.
yeah, well, and I've been speaking to lots of different groups around the state. Went to Fairbanks several times to speak to groups up there. Always going to Anchorage and the Matsu, and here on the peninsula, it's like a week, not quite daily, but weekly. I go speak to, different groups here. But it is, gaining traction. And yeah, we just need to keep, getting the word out. And
Greg Taylor's going to be running for governor.
Yeah.
have you seen that in print then or not?
A source is messaging me, and I mean, it's making sense and everything. He
did a fundraiser. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Craig Taylor did a fundraiser.
He did a fundraiser. It was $5,000 per seat, all the way up to $100,000 per seat. That was last week or week before. I think it was last week. So he's raising money.
So he's filed for.
I don't know if he's filed, but I'm pretty sure he's going to run.
Well, I
don't know for sure.
I think that would be great for us because there are quite a few candidates running for governor that are aware of what
that meeting.
That are aware of the meeting and aware that Treg Taylor is instrumental in trying to strip Alaskans of what the people who wrote our Constitution called an invaluable right.
Yeah, we can't have him as governor. I'm sorry, we can't.
I know.
And there's the other right where in their new process they said no court cases can be brought before a grand jury to have them look at it. Well, another statement by the 55 delegates who wrote our Constitution, they said, they didn't call it. It wasn't invaluable. The invaluable right was to be able to appeal directly to the grand jury. It was utterly vital. An utterly vital right was for citizens to appeal to the grand jury because a court case, they'd been abused by the court system, and the grand jury may be the only forum in which they could obtain justice from abuse from the court system.
Yep.
And that's direct quotes from the 55 delegates who wrote our Constitution, that was an utterly vital right. And that's another one that they're taking away. So in other words, they're basically making it to where the courts can do anything they want to citizens,
Anything.
and no one can ever look into it.
Yep.
And the people who wrote our Constitution, you know, we are so lucky that when our Constitution was written, there were good recording devices. There was actually, audio recording devices, and so the audio is recorded and it's been transcribed by the legislature. Where probably New York State's Constitution, they probably didn't have that. There's probably no documentation on all the discussions. Probably the only thing they have is the actual Constitution, which a lot of times is somewhat vague on what the words actually mean or why they said things the way they did. So, yeah, I mean, we're really lucky, and because of that, we may be, maybe able to bring this to a successful conclusion.
Yeah, I want to throw something in here since we've talked about this before, but since we're live streaming and for the benefit of those people who are unaware of this, what I was in discussion with Senator Showers, who's the lieutenant governor candidate with Bernadette Wilson. Part of my discussion with him is I asked him if he was aware that it was not a requirement in the state of Alaska for the attorney general to be a lawyer, and they didn't have to have a law degree. And he said he was aware of that. And since there's corruption everywhere throughout our judicial system, and that we need to keep floating and trying to educate people that the attorney general is a very, very important position in our government. And how can you trust a frickin' lawyer to be the attorney general when they've had either been compromised before or potentially will be compromised by the system, that when they're done being attorney general, they have to go work as a lawyer in Alaska. So we need to push for the next attorney general under our new governor, whoever that is, that person be someone other than a lawyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Or, find somebody like, I've actually talked to Kelly Shabaka about this several times, and I think that she would make a great attorney general. But there are few and far between that I agree. It would be hard to find a lawyer in this state that could not be pressured into, not going where they need to go, and
not representing the people. That's their whole job. Anybody in office, that's their job. I don't care if they're a judge, the governor, all the way down to a secretary. Their job is to work for the people, period.
David, what will happen if Attorney General Craig Taylor becomes governor?
What will happen?
Yeah.
I think Alaskans will be in deep shit, is what I think.
Amen to that.
Is
Well
Craig
put.
Taylor, is he one of the reasons for the corruption in the judicial system?
Well, to be honest, the only overt evidence we have is his communication with the Alaska Supreme Court developing SCO 1993 to dismantle citizen grant and grand jury rights to expose corrupt officials. However, after that, we made a very concentrated effort to get a meeting with him and the governor. It was a group of 5 of us. 2 of them were borough mayors, Borough Mayor Edna DeVries and Borough Mayor Peter Machicki, and they wouldn't even respond to our request. And so when an attorney general won't respond to a request from 2 sitting borough mayors to go over evidence of corruption within the Department of Law, which the attorney general heads, there's something wrong.
Yep.
So, I never heard where it was the attorney general calling the grand juries and ordering them to stop investigating. That was specifically Deputy Attorney General John Skidmore. So, you know what I mean, is up until recently, there wasn't any evidence that Treg Taylor was part of the problem, but now there is. But it isn't, you know, it's like, it's not really direct evidence. It's like circumstantial evidence. You know, what if John Skidmore grabbed Treg Taylor's mail and Treg Taylor never seen our request that we wanted to meet with him? You couldn't hardly blame Treg Taylor for that. But we've put out enough stuff on Facebook and on Twitter, on an X. I would like to think that he knows. And in fact, at that, well, both of you were up in Anchorage, weren't you? When he came by and he said he read my letter. Right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no, David
read the letter.
Yeah.
So he can't even claim ignorance. Though,
Nope,
now.
he cannot. Nope.
He said, David, there is no corruption in the Department of Law. And then he said, if there was, he said he would do something about it.
What a joke.
Yeah, but he won't let us walk in and hand him the recordings proving the Deputy Attorney General is lying. I mean, where we caught him lying was to legislators to justify him stopping grand juries. He admitted he stopped grand jury investigations. And our Constitution says the power of grand juries to investigate shall never be suspended.
I didn't know that.
But what is it when the Deputy Attorney General orders him to stop?
Wow.
Is that suspending it? I mean, I think so. You guys think so?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
By doing that, he is violating his oath of office.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Yeah, but what does that mean? He violates his oath of office. Does the oath of office ferry come flying
exactly
in from Twitterville and carry him off to
exactly
jail?
What's the consequence?
Well, exactly. There is no consequence.
Well, it's an issue that we could certainly raise in the campaign. Hopefully the consequence is he damn sure won't be elected. He'll lose an election because of it. If
that's it. That
oath of office as Attorney General, who would believe that he would honor his oath of office as governor? As far as I'm concerned, he's disqualified himself.
That's a good point.
Yeah, well, and there's, that's that point I think has been made by quite a few people. One of the people that wrote very eloquently about it was Seward's Folly. You guys ever read that blog, Seward's Folly?
Yep.
I've heard of it.
He wrote an article on Treg Taylor immediately after that, and he basically said, he was ranking candidates on, their chances of winning the governor. Be a strong contender until he hit this town hall. And he says, and Seward's Folly, the blog says, now he has less than a 5% chance of winning because he basically got roasted.
Yeah.
At that town hall.
Absolutely.
Nobody was happy with him.
No, even his backers, his financial backers are pulling out. That's why he had to do the fundraiser.
Oh, that's why he had to do the fundraiser. Yep. Okay.
Well, yeah, and everybody should make themselves aware of what happened at that town hall.
Yep.
And any chance that you just get up there and say, are you really the one that made this new process that directly violates invaluable rights of the citizens?
Yep.
Was that you? Really? Was that you?
And you're running for governor?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just so everybody on the live knows that I did publish that live. What was it, 2.5 hours? I do believe it's on Facebook, Rumble, and on YouTube. So I highly recommend you guys. I'll put it in the description down below.
Yeah, well, and one thing that I'll give kudos to the Borough Assembly who hosted it. They've got their feed on there also, which is
surprising,
really clear and yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's it's a big problem. And I guess, before we end this or go any longer, I have researched the same type of problem in other states. I've tried to find the solution. And what I found is that in New York City, they ran into basically the same type of corruption, where it was actually the New York City Police Department was embroiled in systemic corruption for quite a few years. And the only thing that broke through it was the mayor of New York City, it was Mayor Dinkins, appointed an independent commission to investigate in public. And so what that meant is when they would subpoena people, the commission was given subpoena powers by the mayor. It was televised, and there were radio, it was done live. And so, and I'll just read it's like a paragraph here.
Yes, please go for it.
Well, when I read this, it literally, and I'm talking literally, made the hackles stand up on the back of my neck, because you could just change the names and it explained exactly how this corruption got so bad in the state and why good people were not doing anything to combat it. I'll just start off. Quote, "To cover up their corruption, officers created even more. They falsified official reports and perjured themselves to conceal their misdeeds. In the face of this problem, the department allowed its systems for fighting corruption virtually to collapse. It had become more concerned about the bad publicity that corruption disclosures generate than the devastating consequences of corruption itself. As a result, its corruption controls minimized, ignored, and at times concealed corruption rather than rooting it out. Such an institutional reluctance to uncover corruption is not surprising. No institution wants its reputation tainted, especially a department that needs the public's confidence and partnership to be effective. Since no entity outside the department was responsible for reviewing the department's success in policing itself, years of self-protection continued unabated until this commission commenced its independent inquiries." Unquote. And if you look at what's going on, I don't believe every attorney or every judge are corrupt, but I think they all are afraid of exposing the corruption of having Marla Greenstein for 36 years covering up the wrongdoings of judges. What they are afraid of is the scandal and the loss of public trust. So rather than expose what Marla Greenstein, they just give her a green light, let her keep doing it and covering it up, because they're more afraid of it coming out what she's doing than afraid of the damage she's doing to the public right now, here and now. I mean, that is exactly, and see, this Mullen Commission, they got to the bottom of why, like, internal affairs would sweep under the rug that New York City policemen were beating the shit out of people for fun, stealing, robbing, selling drugs. All the oversight entities just swept under the rug because they didn't want the public to actually know that these cops were doing it. Well, the cops just took that as a green light to become even worse.
Even worse, yeah.
And that's what's going on with the state, is the judges and attorneys, they're like, God, we can do anything we want, and nobody does anything.
Absolutely.
We're like gods.
Yep.
And so they go out and do worse. And then the people that we complain to, they're afraid to expose what these other folks are doing, even though there may be some good people that aren't doing it themselves personally. They feel obligated to cover up for the people who are, simply to preserve the public's, well, like they said in here, the public's confidence in the system. I mean, this paragraph explains how it goes on and why the people who should be rooting it out are not doing it.
It sounds like it's a mirror of Alaska right now.
Well, it is. It absolutely is. Remember I told you about Marla Greenstein when I filed the bar complaint and then she had to falsify the certified response to the bar? She had to double down. Well, look at what they found here. To cover up their corruption, officers created it even more. They falsified official reports and perjured themselves to conceal their misdeeds. I could just change that and say to cover up her corruption, Marla Greenstein created even more. She falsified official reports and perjured herself to conceal her misdeeds. That's exactly what she did.
Yep.
She was caught. And then when we filed a complaint against her, she couldn't just admit she was caught.
Covered it up.
She covered it up. Yeah.
Yep.
And then when the Kenai grand jury subpoenaed Marla Greenstein and all the witnesses, one thing I could show you, Brandon, is the indictment and the list of witnesses that were called and the complaint or the evidence certified by Judge Ioannidis, and you compare the witnesses who the grand jury subpoenaed to that certified evidence, and every name matches every one. You know what the grand jury was looking at.
Yeah.
They were looking at Marla Greenstein.
Yep.
And guess who sealed that report?
Matthews.
Judges. Yeah, no, yeah, a judge. Well, Marla Greenstein is covering up for judges.
Yep.
Why wouldn't, if the judges were being covered up for, they would have to seal that report.
So, okay, I got a question. So you've done a lot of research on this. What steps would need to be taken in order to remove her from her position?
She is hired by the Alaska Commission on Judicial Conduct. Okay. So they could fire her. I don't think that the governor can, because it's like I believe the Commission on Judicial Conduct is created underneath or in the Alaska state constitution. So I would think it would need to be that commission, but I'll tell you this, sorry that I start ranting.
No, you're good. You're good.
Here.
This is all good information.
Okay. When we got the dirt on Marla Greenstein, and then we got further dirt when we filed the bar complaint. And when we went to the bar with the proof that she perjured herself, the bar said, she's great attorney, dismissed. I mean, they didn't do a thing against her. That's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
There was a valid complaint against her filed with the bar. And then in a certified document, it's proven that she falsified a certified document to cover up. And the bar just, woohoo, she's a great attorney. I mean, that's an eye opener there. Yeah. But what I was getting at is when the bar didn't do anything, we found out that the Commission on Judicial Conduct, which is made up of 9 members, 3 judges, it's made up of 3 judges, 3 attorneys, and 3 private people. 9 people on the commission. It's chaired by a judge. One of the judges is chair. We found out that commission meets, I believe, 4 times a year. We looked up the rules of it, and they say that public testimony is encouraged on anything affecting the commission or its duties. And the sole duty of this commission is to investigate and discipline judges. That's its sole purpose in life. So we're thinking, wow, if their only investigator that this commission has hired is falsifying investigations to let corrupt judges stand on the bench, we think that might qualify as something, concerning the commission, right? That's their sole duty.
Yeah.
So I got all the witnesses together, gathered up all the evidence, and the one caveat that they had for the public to participate in the quarterly meetings of the commission is you have to notify them within 72 or more than 72 hours prior to their meeting. So being an overachiever, we contacted them about 2 weeks ahead and said, we want to come in and make a presentation to the commission. And the chair says, what will be the subject? I said, we have proof and evidence that your sole judge investigator is falsifying investigations to cover up corrupt judges. Judge comes back and says, denied. You will not be allowed to present evidence or testimony.
Wow.
But the rules say they encourage public testimony and evidence on anything that concerns the commission. Remember, the commission has a lady by the name of Marla Greenstein that is the one that actually investigates everything.
Do you know the name? Do you know the name of the judge that's the president of it, or the?
He was the chair.
The
At
chair.
that time, his name was Ben Esch, E-A-S-C-H, I think, from Nome. It's now, he's long since been replaced by another judge, but at that time it was Judge Ben Esch.
And what about now? Do you know the new judge's name?
I do not know, but yeah, it just, so in other words, that commission probably told Marla Greenstein to cover up for judges, and then when we come wanting some blood, sorry,
Yep.
we can't have any of that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good old boy system for sure. So, but anyway, in
Do we have a lot of corrupt attorneys, David, and throughout the state, or you got info on that?
I think there's a lot of corrupt attorneys. I think there's a few good ones,
Yep.
but I think that even they are afraid to
Yes.
come out and say a whole lot, because if they do, the Bar Association will probably come knocking for their license to practice law.
I called over 130 attorneys for my case. Nobody would take it. And the ones that did want to take it, they wanted a shit ton of money. Like $25,000 retainer, $900 an hour. Yeah. It's hard to find a good attorney in Alaska.
And they'll just suck your money away, and then
Yep.
when you're broke, they'll leave you and sell
Yep.
you out. I mean,
So I want to do a plug real quick. If anybody's looking for a good attorney, call Inlet Law in Homer. Talk to Jose Musa. Tell him Brandon sent you. That guy is a legitimate attorney. I'm telling you, legitimate.
what's his name again?
Jose Musa. He's Inlet Law. He just got here from Florida, and from the research that I did, he was the best attorney in Florida. He's a constitutional attorney, and he's also a criminal defense attorney. He's amazing. I'm telling you, amazing.
Okay, well, that's good to know that there might be one. And I will say this:
That's the only good one that I know of. Is
See?
him.
Well,
That's the only good one.
Yeah, my business attorney actually helped me figure out what was going on, and he was a former criminal defense attorney, and in fact went to the FBI with me, with a lot of the evidence we had. But he's since retired. But that was the only other, attorney that I know beyond any doubt was, honest. And when you say honest, I don't know whether you can blame attorneys if they get pressured or threatened to. The whole thing needs to kind of come out into the public. There needs to be a full-blown public investigation.
Yes.
David, why don't they want cameras in the courthouse of Alaska?
Same reason why they don't want cameras anywhere. They don't want to be exposed.
Yeah, they don't want. Yeah,
Because it'll show what they're actually doing in that courtroom and what they're actually convicting people for.
Yeah, I mean it. And I believe this, that with cases that have no reason for one of the good old boys to be concerned one way or the other, they probably adjudicate those cases pretty well, because if they were, rigging every case, it would be fairly quickly brought to light that they, what they're doing.
It'd be obvious.
Yeah. So what they do is they only, it needs to be something where they need it or want it to be decided a certain way, like whatever, a judge being complained of, sleeping with the wife in a divorce case, and him, so that one, the judge needs it to go one way. And, so, what I mean is they're probably not doing it on a whim or whatever, but it's, it's whenever, like they need to pull a rabbit out of the hat. They can pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah. They're picking and choosing what cases to cover up.
Yeah. And I have heard from a sitting judge in Anchorage that judges were assigning cases to themselves that they had an interest in. And it's supposed to be a random selection.
Yeah, that's interesting.
When the case comes onto the docket, it should be the next judge in the list that gets assigned that case. But I had a sitting judge say that in Anchorage, it was common practices for judges to select cases to hear that they wanted to be decided, in one way or another. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But
that's good information.
Yeah. Anyway, again, I could go on and on and on, but I actually have a friend that flew up from the States that I need to, he's upstairs.
Yeah. We're at an hour right now. So,
I'm burnt.
I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Do me a favor, you guys, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. All the information from everything that's being talked about will be in the description down below. And I might put in the pinned comment. Thanks for watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later.
See you guys.
Okay, thanks. And I don't know, Jim or Plastic, you got anything else you want to?
Yes. This is Jim. I have one suggestion. When we talk about the founders, the creators of our Constitution, when they're referencing the grand jury and the rights of the people, it's being an invaluable right. Invaluable is not a word that's in the normal vocabulary of most Alaskans. So I would suggest when you do that, you just tell them that the Webster's Dictionary defines invaluable as value beyond measure, to emphasize the importance of that statement, because that's not a word that we typically use. So if we emphasize the fact that it's value beyond measure, that I think it'll help get people's attention and see that it's very, very important.
Yep. Yeah, I just noticed that we have a bunch of comments. I'm sorry, you guys. I just now looked at your guys' comments. Joyce, Tracy, Tennessee, Transparency News, Cop Watch. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I just got to your comments. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys in the next one. We're going to do this. These guys do this, every Saturday, Dave? At 8 o'clock?
We do. I mean, there's, random occasions where I don't make it either work or, there's sometimes I'm out fishing and, whatever. The nice thing, though, I think Jim and Vlasic can back this up, is if I'm not here, you guys can still hold the meeting. I don't actually have to open it up for it to work, I believe. Isn't that right, Vlasic? There's been times when I haven't showed up.
Yep.
But I try to make an effort to be here every Saturday at 8 p.m. But, I've been actually doing this now for
a while.
I don't know. Holly Sheldon convinced me to start this up, I think about six years ago, I think. So I maybe missed a handful in 6 years. And, and what you're doing with live streaming, that may be
It's one of the tools we got.
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
maybe a huge advantage. I don't know how to, get this live streamed. The only thing I live stream is on Facebook. Well, I don't know how to put what I'm doing now onto Facebook. I'm just.
well, I'm running three different programs. I'm running a live streaming software, and then I have Zoom on my other TV, and I've connected the two so that I got Zoom in this feed, and this feed's running to Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, and then I just got you guys. I got 3 monitors here that I'm monitoring, so it's not easy. It's not easy to do. So maybe one of these days I sit down with you and I can kind of show you how to do it. It's actually easy if you've done it. I've been doing this for a long time, obviously, so it's easy for me, but for someone else, it's not easy to do. You got to get kind of used to it and get it down. So,
Yeah,
but it's very helpful. It's very helpful for getting a message out, for getting the audience involved. And my main concern is Alaskans. We need more Alaskans involved. That's why I'm on Facebook. Because I have a lot of Alaskans on Facebook, like you do, David. You got a really big following on Facebook, and I'm actually going to tag you in this video on Facebook, so it'll automatically send this video to all of your followers.
Okay, yeah, and if it shows up on my, somewhere, and I don't really even understand what feed is and this or what.
It's what we're doing right now. It's a live feed.
Okay, well, if it shows up, I will then share it with all those groups I was talking about. And I've learned I can in one sit down, I can share it with like about 100 groups.
Yep.
If I do more than 100, I start getting throttled by Facebook.
Yep.
But Facebook now, I don't know, 4 or 5 times has said that they've increased my distribution because of whatever they said, the high quality content I've been putting out. And so whatever I've been doing accidentally is resonating with Facebook and whatever I'm doing a good job.
Yeah. It's sending your message to more people. Is what it's doing. It's an algorithm. It's really confusing, but it's an algorithm. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, they're all ran by computers. And if the computer sees a certain trend, what they'll do is they'll take the information from that trend and they'll send it out to more people. So you're doing good is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of people that say that they get banned from Facebook and it's the opposite that's occurring.
Yep.
But I do know that I can abuse it, because there've been a couple times, like if I try to post to like all 200 groups in one setting,
Yep. It's like denied.
Yeah. So I've learned to just be patient, send out some, and then I wait usually at least 24 hours. Then I'll send out another bunch. But through the year, it used to be like over 50 groups at a time I would get banned, and it slowly is increasing. Yeah, my reach. So, and what I was going to say, Brandon, is, and Robin, is that I am good at some things, and I simply do not have time to get good at like this social media stuff. If you guys are willing to kind of keep helping with this and push it forward, I would really appreciate it. And I think I'm not mistaken in saying that someday this is going to be a really big thing.
I agree.
Grand jury thing.
I agree.
I think so.
I mean, it may rip this state a new one.
Absolutely.
The waves may wash across the whole United States.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing what you're doing. And
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If you're willing to come down and try to show me how to do this stuff, I'm willing to try to learn. I'm just saying I don't even have that much time to try to learn. I mean, when we were hauling that ship to Skilac Lake, I was getting up at 4:45, getting home at 8 or 9 at night after driving a 70-foot side dump wide open back and forth what were we making? Like 6 or 7 trips from Soldaten out to Cooper Landing.
Wow.
You know, I mean, when I get home, I'm, you know, pardon my French, I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah, you're yeah. Yep.
You know, we got done last night, so we got, you know, today I rested up and stuff. But you know what I mean? Is
Yep.
I'll do what I can, but you know, the social media stuff, if you guys are experts in it, have at, you know, spread.
I'm coming out with a barrage of
Yeah.
stuff.
I'll do what I
You too.
I'll do what I can, man, because we need to get the word out. So
Attorney
Yeah,
General,
well-
Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, thanks again and good night.
yep. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thanks
Good
for having
show.
me, everybody.
Bye bye.
Yeah.